This is City Pulse Newsmakers, a weekly look at the issues and the people behind them in Greater Lansing. Brought to you by City Pulse, Lansing's weekly alternative newspaper. And now, here's your host, City Pulse publisher, Burl Schwartz.
Good morning. Later in the show, Lansing's new City Council member, Vincent Delgado, will be joining us. Our guest for the first half of the show is Richard Peffley. He's the the interim general manager of the Lansing Board of Water and Light. He is a 39-year veteran of BWL. He was previously executive director of operations and served once before in an interim capacity as general manager. The board appointed him this time as last time after letting the general manager go. Mr. Peffley, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Burl.
Are you interested in doing this job full-time if they want you?
I have advised the commissioners that I will stay on as long as they need this time.
Word has it that you rejected having a contract while serving as interim general manager. Is that correct?
Correct. They have an interim agreement together, but I've been an at-will employee for 29 of my 39 years. I'm not nervous about looking over my shoulder when I'm going to have a job tomorrow. I'm 39 years there, as you pointed out, and I don't need the paycheck. I'm there right now to help move the board forward. I think that they need somebody with some institutional knowledge. I'm an operations person. Just by sheer seniority, I know the company inside out, and I'm willing to step up and help at this time.
Obviously, credibility is a big issue right now with BWL ever since the ice storm. How do you rate BWL's credibility at this time?
I want to say good and getting better. Definitely better than it was last year. We had some issues. I was in the water side of the company during the unfortunate ice storm, so I got to see it from a different perspective. And we managed our side of the utility during that, interruption, because obviously the water side of the company needs power too. We didn't generate any complaints from the water side during that event. Unfortunately, the electric side didn't do as well. And I watched and learned, and I have some experience in that side because I ran the electric side previous to being on the water side. And, I saw some mistakes that I think have been corrected. And I'm not looking forward to an ice storm, but I don't fear one.
What are some steps you either have started taking or think need to be taken at BWL to improve its credibility?
We have to get back to basics. We're there to provide our four utilities: electric, water, steam, and chilled water. And the customer has to be confident when they throw the switch on the wall that their lights are coming on. I don't want them to be nervous every time a storm cloud comes over that their service is going to be interrupted. We need to reassure them that. That's been a mission of mine since I started at the board, is that our customers are job one. They're also, a lot of them are our owners, and they need to be treated that way with respect. And I want to work to build their confidence. I'm out in the community, and I have been in the community. I'm part of the community, and I think that, as I talk to folks and reassure them that we've put a management team in place that will foster my beliefs that they can relax a little bit and feel that the company's in good hands right now.
We were told that some of those people you appointed to the executive team may be getting pay raises. Have you decided on that?
No, I haven't decided. Some of them have increased responsibilities. HR will be evaluating to see if they're paid appropriately for their new responsibilities, and once that recommendation is made to me, then they will probably receive raises. Some of them were in the existing roles and are paid at the market rate and will stay there. But as of right now, there's been no pay raises given out.
Would giving them help or hurt the effort to improve credibility?
I think that people understand that you can get what you pay for, and if they're adequately paid at a market rate, that people aren't going to have an issue with that.
Mayor Bernero would like to place a cap, so to speak, on contracts with public appointees such as the general manager. What do you think of that?
I have no problems with that. As I said previous, I hired in as an IBW 352 local employee. I was in the union for probably 10 years of my career, but since then I've been at will. I've had no contract. If I am asked to stay on or become the general manager of the company, I don't need a contract.
But are you an unusual type of appointee, especially in a competitive industry like utilities?
I would say yes. Absolutely.
Do you have any concern that it's going to be hard for the city then to attract a general manager if they don't want you?
You know, I haven't thought that deep, to be honest with you, if that would negatively affect them or not. You know, I'm just not sure. I've kind of just looked at it from my point of view.
One of your first acts as interim general manager was to fire Susan Devon as the chief financial officer. Why'd you let her go?
Well, I felt that the previous general manager brought in his team and set the company up to run the way he wanted. I have been through about 8 management changes in my career, so I got to see the ones that worked, the ones that didn't work, and kind of took the approach that I'm going to take a hybrid of those different reorganizations, and I needed to bring my team in, and that's what I did. So
why do you feel she didn't fit on your team?
I just wanted to hire a CFO that had some private sector experience. I wanted somebody to come in that didn't have the institutional knowledge I had, to say, Dick, you've been doing this for 39 years, you know, in some capacity, you know, I'm new at this, looking at why you're doing this. And the new CFO, Heather Shawat, the cook, every day is in my office saying, why are you doing it this way? And so it's a fresh set of eyes. I wanted a fresh set of eyes. We needed a turning point. I think that part of reassuring our customers that we're on the right road is to build an organization that's nimble and can change, and that's what I wanted to do.
Mayor Bernero said that he recommended her. What is your relationship with the mayor?
I have a very good relationship with the mayor as well as the city. I was called upon about 3 years ago to help them design, build, and construct a new city garage. They've been trying for some time, and a lot of my background is in construction for the Board of Water and Light. I was responsible for the construction of the design and construction of the Rio Power Plant, the chilled water plant down on Pine and Allegan. And the city garage was a fairly small project in the scope of things I've done. So I worked with them a few days a week to build this garage. It came in on time, on budget, and I think the city was appreciative of that. So it built some credibility with them. I think most of our goals and objectives are the same. I'm sure there's going to be some that aren't, and we'll agree to disagree on some things that I don't think are the best for the Board of Water and Light. I believe, as the interim general manager, that our ratepayers and the residents of Lansing, who are owners, their job won, and so my decisions have to be based on what's best for them.
There's a new controversy that has arisen this week over renovating the office space at the Hayco Street facility. Apparently, an internal auditor found that more money was budgeted, but the board wasn't made aware of that. At the same time, the mayor is proposing there be an inspector general who reports to the mayor. Is that what has just happened, an argument for that, or is it an argument that, hey, we have an internal auditor and we're good?
I think that we have an internal auditor. He picked up on this. We work with the internal auditor, And I think that my administration will be more transparent. You know, the increased cost to that renovation was approved by the commissioners, but it was included in a lengthy report. I believe that if you have a project that you put a placeholder in for $1 value and that changes when you're ready to start the project, that should be highlighted so that you're not burying it, so to speak, in a lengthy report. And I've talked to the commissioners about that, and so my administration goals are to be transparent. If there's a change, if a project is over budget, they need to know about it. But if it's under budget, they need to explain why too. Did we change the scope, or did it just come in better? So that they don't have to look through this. I just started a monthly report with those folks that the commissioners that highlights things that are going on over the past month, and it's meant to generate questions. Do you want more information on this item? Instead of sending them a lengthy report that they may not have time to get through. You know, I just click on the item you have concerns, let me know, and we'll give you all the detail.
What about the Inspector General idea?
You know, I've thought about it. I got a lot of questions. You know, I'm not sure that right now that do I want one? Probably not. But do I fear one? Absolutely not.
Is it necessary?
You know, I think with the relationship right now that with the city and the transparency, I think that I can continue on the trust that we have, that they'll get all the information they need. You know, so
sounds like you don't think it's a necessary expense at this time.
You know, if it passes, the voters pass it, then I will make it work with a smile on my face.
Okay. The tree trimming controversy in East Lansing, I understand it's been suspended until a legal resolution is complete. What is the legal issue?
Our right to trim certain areas of the city, and the Board of Water and Light, you know, we dropped the ball there. There's no doubt about it. Every time we had a controversy going into a different area, not just East Lansing. East Lansing is a valued customer of ours, and I'm going to work very hard to mend relationships out there. But when we had a controversy of trimming trees, we backed off and we went somewhere else. Well, that was the wrong thing to do. You know, I don't like the way we have to trim trees, but we're trying to comply with recommendations from the PSC and the CRT reports. And if we had taken and done our jobs when we should have in trimming the trees, it'd be more of a pruning instead of waiting years to go back in and have a lot of mature growth, and the trees don't look good. There's just no way I can tell you the tree looks good when we're done with it. But we're going to push forward and do what we need to do to maintain the reliability of the electric system. And the next time through, these are 5-year cycles, it won't be near as bad for our customers. So we failed the ones that we didn't push through and do what we should have done years ago. Some of the areas we haven't been in for 10 to 15 years. Well, you know how much growth is going to be on a tree after 15 years. There's no way you can trim it around the lines and have it look aesthetically pleasing. That upsets me. But we're working with the customers, trying to resolve the issues and get through our entire service territory. We used to have about 5 tree trimming crews on. We have 33 crews out there trimming right now, so we're everywhere. And for that many crews, we're generating very little controversy in the city. We're not dealing with many complaints. And we're trimming in Delta Township on some of the other outlying areas, and East Lansing is one of the areas that we had not done the trimming like we should have. So that's the ones where it's the most heartburn being generated, and we're trying to work through that.
The only one of the mayor's charter amendment proposals I haven't asked you about is where should the BWL's attorney be? Should it be in the city attorney's office, or should it be in BWL's office?
Well, I think that there's we have common things that we do, and the city attorney has a staff of attorneys. I'm not sure how many is on staff, but there's certain things that they can probably do for us that we now pay outside counsel to do. That doesn't make sense, and so our attorney is located at our corporate office right now, and I believe that there's probably a balance of where they work. We keep the city attorney informed of everything that's going on. I've tried to understand how the charter speaks to it, and I don't quite understand. I think that's why they want to clear it up. Mm-hmm. So I'm just trying to work through that issue too. But we have an excellent relationship with the city attorney, and I've was in our office for an hour yesterday on just trying to figure out
I'm
how
going
we
to
do
have
that.
to cut you off there, but thank you so much for your time. Very refreshing, candid answers. I appreciate it.
I'd be glad to talk to you anytime.
All right, very good. Richard Peffley. Vincent Delgado is the newly appointed member of the Lansing City Council, replacing Derek Quinney, who became Register of Deeds. Vince, it's great to see you.
It's a delight. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Your background includes having been the City Hall reporter for the Lansing State Journal 10, 15 years ago now. What did it ever occur to you might actually be on the other side of the dais?
It was a fascinating time to cover David Hollister and the Keep GM campaign and the things that were going on back then. And I'm not sure it actually occurred to me. I never thought back then that I would say, okay, I'm going to do this. But I think the moment I took the step out of journalism and began to work to advocate for people in Lansing, I often would think, wow, I wonder what it would be like if I could do this type of advocacy inside of City Hall.
And you left the Journal to become, to work in refugee services for what is now St. Vincent's Catholic Charities. What motivated that?
Well, I had a story about refugees that I covered for the Journal, and I had traveled quite a bit internationally and had worked with some refugees from Guatemala during the civil wars in Central America, and I didn't know that there were refugees in Lansing. And so when I did the story and I learned more about it, and I learned about just the fascinating idea that there were people constantly coming into Lansing that brought great potential from all over the world. It was a really inspiring thing to experience and learn about. And I called up the director of resettlement at that time, Terry Walsh, and said, you got anything that I could do? And it turned out that I had the opportunity to work as a Cuban-Haitian case manager in the Cuban-Haitian program, and then eventually became the director of resettlement there.
And you did that for 5, 6, 7 years, then moved on to Michigan State. Why was that?
Yeah, well, actually, I did that for a few years and then co-founded the Refugee Development Center that focused on education and civic development for refugees. And then I moved on to Michigan State. And what motivated that was that at the Refugee Development Center, one of our priorities were helping refugees and other immigrants connect with people in Lansing to begin to play important roles as citizens and residents here in our city, because I knew that we can bring them, but if we don't help people and welcome them, they can't always become the citizens that we need to participate. And during that time, I met Stephen Esquith, who's now the dean of the residential college at Michigan State University, the Residential College in the Arts and Humanities. And he asked me to be on the advisory board. And as part of that advisory board, I really pushed that notion of civic engagement. How do we connect this wonderful resource we have in students to our community and help them learn about how to affect positive social change here in our community, but also take it wherever they end up. And it's a wonderful, wonderful place to be and an opportunity to be working on those things.
I understand that you do intend to run for the seat.
That's correct.
So you'll be in the August primary.
Yep.
And it's quite a commitment. And I wanted to ask you about your time and how you're going to be able to balance these two things.
Well, time is always something you have to work on. I'm sure for your work, Burl, you do the same thing. It's a learning process. I'm committed to the city of Lansing. I can say clearly that, my number one commitment is my family. I have a wife and 2 very young children, which certainly give me a great perspective on the city, especially the children, in terms of what they're experiencing, and also gives me a commitment to ensuring that this is a place I want them to grow up in and live in. And secondly, the work I do at Michigan State University is very important to me, and that's probably a second priority. It has to be. And then the city is incredibly important because it's where I live, it's where I breathe, it's where I intend to live, and so that managing that time is certainly going to be complicated, but something that I am committed to doing. I'm one of those people, along with my dean, I learned this from him, that doesn't sleep a whole lot. I enjoy spending time with the children. They go to bed, and then I get out the books and get to work. So,
one of the current issues facing City Council is whether to accept a raise.
yeah.
How are you going to vote on that?
Well, I can tell you I'm still learning and listening. I know how the process works and how it might, kind of come together in terms of the process. But I can tell you, one of the most important values that I have for this position is fairness and the perception of fairness in the city. And, a 20% raise, despite the pragmatics of it, I mean, it's 20% raise after 14 years in the case of the council. So you're looking at, just over 1% a year. Despite that, the optics don't look good. If you're a resident in the city of Lansing and you're struggling
to make what you're paid for a part-time job.
For a part-time job, it's hard. It's really hard then to have faith in your government, in your legislature. That said, there's the other side of it, which I do understand, is attracting strong candidates that can afford, via a raise or via this type of pay rate, to put the time into the position. So I understand the issues at play here, but I can say clearly, and I've been hearing very clearly from my constituents, that the optics just don't look good.
So you're leaning against approval?
I'm leaning in terms of understanding those optics and that lack of fairness, that perception better. And maybe we need to do something so that people understand it differently, or maybe this isn't the right time. I'm still learning about exactly where I'm going to head.
That time will not come again soon, though.
2 years, right. I mean, one of the things that the comments I've been hearing a lot from folks is, it's been 14 years. It makes sense for you to have somewhat of a raise. It's too bad that this wasn't done incrementally. I studied, I have my master's degree from Western in local government management. And one of the things I learned, it's a public administration degree, is that things in government tend to happen incrementally. And this certainly isn't an incremental move. And so it's unfortunate that we didn't see kind of maybe a 5% or, and kind of revisit it over time.
One of the issues City Council is going to be facing is whether to put on the August ballot the 3 charter amendments concerning BWL that Mayor Bernero has proposed. I'd like to take those one at a time. The cap on salary and contract for appointees such as the BWL general manager, what do you think about that?
It sounds like a pretty good proposal. I think that it's important to be thoughtful about how people are paid, and particularly in governmental positions. I think all of these 3 taken together, the way that I'm looking at them is that what's underlying this discussion about this constitutional amendment or the charter amendment is accountability. And so the way that I've been thinking about this is what is the best way to ensure accountability for this great asset that we have, because people have to have confidence in it, whether that's regionally, whether that's in the city, but we need confidence in where our juice comes from. And right now, I continue to hear that we don't have that confidence from constituents, from my neighbors, from friends. And so the issue is accountability. And so we've got to figure that out. This charter amendment that is being proposed certainly appears to be one way to look at accountability. There may be other ways, and I certainly want to learn more about other opportunities for accountability.
The other 2 are to create an inspector general reporting to the mayor, and then to put the BWL's attorney in the city attorney's office. Some people are concerned, as Joe Graves Jr. wrote in City Pulse this week, that this is basically a power grab by the mayor.
Yeah, you could look at it as a power grab by the mayor. We are in a strong mayoral form of government. We can't forget that. So anything that brings accountability into City Hall could be seen as a power grab. It could also be seen as a bid for increased accountability and responsibility on the part of the mayor. I mean, right now, if you look at the charter, it's not entirely clear who's responsible. We know the mayor appoints Board of Water and Light members. But the line or the way the information moves between these two entities isn't clear in the charter. So on one hand, you could say, yeah, the mayor's trying to grab power. On the other hand, you could say, now we know who's really in power and who's responsible and accountable for this. So there's different ways to look at it. It's a strong mayoral form of government.
It's interesting, though, because you sound more like a journalist right now than you do a politician.
Yep.
Is that going to be a problem for you?
I don't think so. I'm 2 weeks in. And so one of the things I teach my students and in their work and engaging in communities is you don't go running in headlong and say you're going to do this, you're going to do that. You listen. You listen very carefully and you build relationships and you work on your collaboration skills. You build trust, you build accountability. And when you're sure that you understand what's going on, and I know I will, then you begin to make your moves. Certainly at the same time, my job is to vote.
Right.
And I'm doing that already, and I'll continue to do that. There's hard decisions coming up, but I'm not going to push particular projects when I'm 2 weeks in. I think that's just not that's not appropriate at this point.
You are and will be running for an at-large seat. You are occupying one. There's been a lot of emphasis on downtown and the inner city, so to speak, of Lansing in government activity in the last decade or so under Mayor Bernero and Mayor Hollister. What are your thoughts about whether the city as a whole is benefiting?
Well, we need certainly to begin a shift to the neighborhoods. And the city, I just had a meeting with the Development and Planning Department yesterday, and in their master planning work, they're shifting that way. And I think that we need to continue that shift, particularly the south side. We've done a lot of work on the corridor along the east side. I earned my chops on the east side, lived on Jerome Street for many years. Now I'm on the northwest side. But we certainly need to really focus on the neighborhoods. I think
What do you think needs to be done on the south side?
On the south side?
Yeah, we have about 40 seconds to go.
Oh, wow. Well, south side is a big area, and I think we've started to develop neighborhoods. We need to develop citizenship on the south side. We need to get people who are disconnected connected to become stronger citizens and residents on the south side. We need more economic investment. We've got to think about Cedar Street as a corridor that's as important as Michigan Avenue. And so those are some areas that I'd like to see focused on going forward.
Very good. It's great, Vince, having you here, and good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks,
Pleasure.
everybody, for tuning in today. We'll be back with a new show next week. Have a great Saturday, weekend.
Hi, this is Chris Smith with Local Joe's. At Local Joe's, we help local business. Hi, this is Chris Smith with Local Joe's.